Welcome everybody that's here and everybody at home to our 19th, if you can believe that, annual PEGASYS Awards for Cablecasting Excellence. I'm Lauren Stefanelli. I'm the Access Coordinator here, and I'm really happy that I've been here for almost all of them. And it's a really probably my favorite occasion of the whole year, because I get to say thank you to everybody for everything that they're contributing to the community and to this facility, and to all of the rest of you out there in terms of providing different types of alternatives on your television set other than commercial TV. Different voices from members of your own community, voices from your friends and neighbors that have something to say, something artistic to present, some important local issue to discuss, and sometimes with call-in, so you get to call in and voice, even from your own living room, your opinion about it too. Public access is a really important resource, and I'm really happy to everybody who's here is here to support it, and everybody who's watching it at home, just by watching this TV show, learning a little bit about it and learning about what people have done this year that they're really, really proud of and want to have recognized, I hope will give you a little bit more of a taste of the importance of public access and maybe an interest in doing some yourself. We have, for anyone who's at home and a little bit intrigued at this point, we have an orientation coming up next Friday at 7 o'clock at our studio at 612 West Green Street. So if you think, after watching a few of the shows that we're going to present, that you could do better, well, I challenge you to come down and prove it, to come down to our orientation, sign up for one of our free training classes, and show us what you can do. Show us what your voice could be on this channel, Channel 13, that all of us in Tompkins County share. Our awards tonight are basically an opportunity to let the best of our programming shine, to recognize the best. It's a little bit of a different occasion for me than it is for some of the people that are sitting in the audience or nail-biting at home, the people who submitted entries. These are the people that had to work up their courage to submit a tape to be judged by a panel of independent judges, and that takes a little bit of courage to do. For me, on the other hand, it's just occasion to welcome the diversity and the multiplicity of voices that we have down here. So the more the merrier, and the richer the choir of all our voices seems to me, the more people that we have down here to show. What we're going to do is we're going to show you clips of every single entrant. And so you'll get to see a little bit of the different types of shows that were made this year. But we're also going to tell you who won. And before we get to that part, I'm going to tell you how we go about doing the competition and how we're going to go about doing the show. We have 3 independent judges each year, and they work as volunteers. They're not employees of Time Warner or PEGASYS or related to any of the particular programs. So they're people that volunteer their time to watch all of the entries and fill out a scorecard and give some helpful advice and try and rank them one for the other. They did a heck of a lot of work, and I'd really like to start out by telling you a little bit about them and having us all give them a little bit of recognition first. And in fact, one of our 3 judges is even here and made some of the refreshments and food that you've been enjoying out there in the other room before you came in here. Our 3 judges are Chris Riley, who is the current director of Cornell Cinema and does a local video festival every summer for the past 3 years. Our second judge is Christine Guest, who is currently a lecturer, instructor at Ithaca College in video production. And our third judge is a PEGASYS producer, Mike Brutband, who's standing in the back there. Mike, everybody look at you. Mike is a 3-time PEGASYS Awards winner. For his program, No Idea, that is a long-running show for about 6 or 7 years. And in addition, he has formed part of 2 different judging panels that we've put together to judge access competitions at the Northeast region and the national level. So he's participated in 2 different judging panels as a judge before for those competitions. So he's got a little bit of judging chops as well as being a full-fledged PEGASYS producer. So those are our 3 judges, and all of whom put a ton of time into watching all these shows and said they had a good time doing it. I mean, I didn't have to pull out anybody's fingernails to finish. They all finished, they all had a great time, and they all really enjoyed, they all had favorites, but they all really enjoyed everything that they did. So if we just give a big round of applause for Mike and Chris and Christine, who aren't here, Thank you very much, judges. In addition, we're judging things in a couple of different ways. Programs are each competing twice effectively. First of all, we have, as you can see from your programs, if there's those of you that didn't get your programs, there's some outside by the entrance. Hey, Will, would you mind bringing in some extra programs for those who are looking around blankly, as I said, as you can see from your programs, and bring them in for those people? As you can see from your programs, you will see that we have 7 categories with entrance. And then after that, we have categories 8 and 9 that says Best Public Access and Best Educational Access. This competition is open to both public access producers who make things that are produced at Pegasus and are cablecast on Channel 13, as well as things that are produced by the local schools, local high schools, local middle schools, and local colleges that are cablecast onto Channel 16. So those are considered educational access shows that run on an educational access channel. All of them, the public access and educational access, are competing together in these various categories. So there's public affairs, nonprofit organizations, performing arts, comedy, variety, religion, philosophy, news, magazine, and documentary. And you'll see by the little E or P at the end of each one of those lines that there are both types of programs in each of these categories. And then at the last 2 categories, Best Public Access and Best Educational Access, basically all of the public access shows are competing against each other. The best 2 public access shows, by which I mean the 2 that score the highest overall against all the other public access shows, will win Best Public Access Program, and the 2 educational access shows that score the highest will win Best Educational Access shows. And those 4 programs will be sent on at Time Warner's expense to a national access competition called the Hometown Awards, which is going to be judged at a big awards ceremony in Florida this summer in July. So we'll be sending those 4 tapes in, and there may be others that will be going down from Ithaca to compete against all other access shows in the country that people thought were good. There's usually 4,000 or 5,000 entries. It's quite a gigantic task doing that. So that's what we're doing. We'll get to those at the end. As we do each category, what we're going to do is play clips for you, about a minute's worth of tapes, of each one of the tapes in the entries, so you'll get to see a little bit of them, and then we're going to announce the winner. We're going to do something that I've never done before. I don't know, the idea just never occurred to me, but I decided I'd try it out this year and see how you like it, which is that I'm going to actually put the judging scores up on the screen at the end to announce the winners. And how the judging scores go is since I'm going to show it to you, I have to kind of explain how it works a little bit. The judging score will be a number from 1 to 5, or some like 3.5 or 4.2 or whatever it is, and 5 being the best and 1 being the worst. Hopefully, there's not too many ones. And so each judge will end up with a score. And their score came from judging technical qualities of the tape and content qualities. And content counts more the way we judge it. But finally, it gets all turned into one number that represents that judge's evaluation of that show. So we're going to show all the judging scores for Judge 1, Judge 2, Judge 3. We're not going to identify the judges by name. The judges, I told you who the 3 judges are, but within the 3 judges, they're going to have their little bit of an anonymity there. And then after we show you the 3 scores, then we're going to show you what the average score is, and the average score determines who wins. And one of the interesting things about this is that very often, different judges pick different winners, and it's the average that determines who's finally going to win. So, in fact, I think there's actually 3 categories where, no, there's only 2 categories where all 3 judges pick the same winner across the board. Every place else there was disagreement, and it's the average that determines the winner. Okay, so when we see the scores, that's what that means. You'll see 3 columns representing Judge 1, Judge 2, Judge 3, and then the 3 columns will disappear, and you'll see the average score, and that'll show us the winner. Okay, so you guys get all that, right? Yeah, you're all with me? Y'all taking notes? Okay, we'll see how your math skills hold up, and if we want to do this anymore, if it's just like completely beyond you. But I think it'll be okay. All right, then I have 2 little kind of quirks to this year's competition that I want to explain a little bit. One is that we ended up with 3 entries that had no sound. and that was not intentional by the people that entered them. And unfortunately, we didn't discover this until the tapes had already gone through much of the judging process, and there wasn't really an opportunity, plus the judges voted against it, giving them an opportunity to resubmit a different dub. So there are 3 tapes that you are not going to see in the clips. The judges decided not to disqualify the entries, but showing them on clips, especially since one's a music show, doesn't make a whole lot of sense with no sound. So we're not going to show clips of that entry. I haven't identified them on the program, but if you get to the point where you notice there's something on the list and you don't see it in the clip reel, that's because that'll be one of those 3 shows. They're just not going to be included in the clip reel for that reason. And then the other thing is, there were also 3 other shows that were problematic in a different way. Seeing as how every year I'm always kind of cajoling and sometimes outright begging people to enter programs because I want the best of everything, and all the shows are my favorite, and I always want everybody in the competition, and sometimes it really takes a lot of begging on my part to get someone to enter, and sometimes even after all my begging, they still don't enter. When they do want to enter, even if they want to enter after the deadline, I have a tendency to not want to say no to them. So I let 3 shows into this competition after the deadline. And of course, the people that actually dotted their I's and crossed their T's, wait a second. Yeah, that's right. Those people said, hey, wait a second, that's not really fair. You know, what if that show wins and that show was late, and what if my show would have won? And I had to admit that they had a point there, so I decided that what I would do, since I'm basically the 13th fairy of last resort that makes everything all right again at the end of the day, that what I would do is that if any of these 3 shows won in their categories, that I would even things up by giving 2 awards in that category. So I would recognize the person that finally worked up their nerve and put their tape in, even though it was late, but I would also recognize the person that actually got their tape in on time and would have won if I had said, sorry, you're too late, you can't get in. So there is actually a category in which that happened, in which the latecomer won his category, and so in that category there will be 2 awards for that reason. And as it happened, the 2 were very, very, very close in score, as you will see, because you're going to get to see the scores this year for the very first time. All right, so did I make it complicated enough for you? Do y'all get it? Okay. So our first category, as you can see, who are reading your programs, is a category called Public Affairs. And in the Public Affairs category, we have 5 entrants. I'm going to read them off to you right now. The first is called The Candidates, the Issues, from Ithaca College by Adam Arendt and John Cook. The second is Over the Rainbow, produced by Rick Livingston. The third is Costs of Free Trade and Militarism by Chris McConkey. The third is Amnesty International Ithaca by Wies van Luken. And, wait a second, did I say third again? No, that was fourth. And the fifth is Right Angle, produced by Mark Finkelstein. And we've got clips of these entries, so let's take a look at our clips.
Well, the group is known as the Tompkins County Working Group on LGBT Aging. And I really should let Nancy say the beginnings about it, because I just moved here in January, so I just started, and she was involved from the beginning. So, Nancy?
About 2 years ago, a few people, really a handful, literally, got together and started talking about issues as they affect lesbian, gay, bisexual, and trans queer people who are getting older. And what kinds of needs we have, what kinds of services are available, how institutions are either set up or not set up to deal with LGBT people, and specifically how a progressive community like Ithaca and Tompkins County is going to be able to respond to the needs of aging people who have been out, a generation that has been out and not closeted, and is going to age in place.
In my previous experiences, police violence has been more confined to, you could know when you were entering into a potential of police violence, like being at the front of a line or something like that, which is totally unjust, but even more so in this case, it felt like anywhere in the downtown Miami, you could easily become a target of police violence. At one point, Audrey and I and the babies had moved away from the main march because it had become too potentially violent for the babies. And we were just standing on a street corner changing a diaper when suddenly a battalion of riot police came running towards us. So we ran, and we're trying to go around the corner from them, and then there was another battalion around the corner, and we were able to make it through. But it just felt like, like democracy was totally over.
Until 1950, Nepal was, for all practical purposes, closed to the outside world. There was no way for common people, to travel in and out of the country or to gain any kind of education. It was basically a closed country. Now, before that time, before 1950, the country was ruled by a family called the Ranas, who had a series of hereditary prime ministers. And although there had been a dynastic king, he was out of power. Now, in 1950, he actually came back into power through kind of a palace coup. Mm-hmm. And when that king, called King Tribhuvan, came back into power, there was a power shift, and it was called basically a democracy movement. And at that time, the country began to open up to the outside world. So it's a very short history, actually, only 50 years of any kind of external contact.
Good evening, and welcome to Right Angle. I'm Mark Finkelstein. Well, as Right Angle viewers know, and as the name of our show very clearly suggests, our show has a very definite political orientation about which we make no bones. But by the same token, we're often happy to invite in people from across the political spectrum. And we're also, I would say, proud of the fact that we have, over the 3 years that we've been on the air, developed, I think, a reputation as a forum for civil discussion of the issues. We hope it's also a spirited and entertaining discussion of the issues, but a place for civil discourse. And it is in that spirit that we are really pleased to have in as our sole guest this evening Eric Lerner, who is a candidate for mayor of the city of Ithaca. Eric is a Democrat who will be running in the Democratic primary. So I'm sure that many of our viewers are well familiar with Eric, but let me just give a little bit of background information for those of you who might not know all about Eric. And after all, the name of the show is Learning About Lerner. Eric was an undergraduate at the University of Michigan. He came to Ithaca in 1970 and got his Doctor of Philosophy in Philosophy at Cornell University. And he has...
Okay, so let's try out our showing this scoring system. If we could put up the scores, but if you could just wait just a minute before you put them up. Just leave that screen up, that's fine for just a minute. I just wanted to say a couple words about a couple of the people that did this show, did the shows that are entered, and a couple of people that do public affairs shows generally. Public affairs shows are the most numerous category of programming. In other words, programs that talk about local politics, local issues, local development, planning, personnel, services, or whatever, are the most numerous type of program that are made down here, and some of them you'll see falling into a couple of different categories that we made. But I think that you would recognize that you'll see things on public access that you simply can't see on other channels. You can't see an hour discussion where someone with a conservative point of view and a liberal point of view spend an hour debating issues in an open and mutually respectful, civil manner on News Bite News. That's just not something that you see. You don't see an hour and a half, as that third entry was that Chris went out and taped, of a local event in town where the people that went to that event could see that discussion on trade and militarism take place. But unless you went to that event, you didn't see it. But Chris went and he took multiple cameras and he made a whole show out of it, and he brought it to TV so that everybody could see that and learn about it. The people that are doing Over the Rainbow are doing a show that is very, very difficult to be public about because it's really very personal. So to talk about really personal things that you may find just difficult to talk about in public to a general audience. You don't know who's watching a TV show. You can pick your friends. You can pick who you want to talk about in a closed setting. But on television, it's just going out there and anybody can watch it. So to talk about things that are really heartfelt, really personal, in this case having to do with gay rights issues, that's very, very courageous to do. We've had people treat that theme in a really kind of humorous, laid-back, kind of fun-loving manner, but this show treats it in a really serious manner in terms of services and people's feelings and people's the way people are getting along in our community, and that kind of treatment is a real blessing to many people that have never seen anything like that on our television before. Vies van Luken, who's been making Amnesty International for many years now, I think it may be over a decade. Is that possible? Oh my God! I'm saying oh my God because I remember when she started it. She has found a way to create an activity within Amnesty International that she's a part of that lets her put her talents to work in a really special way that lets people outside of Amnesty International but within Tompkins County know all about what they're doing and understand what some of the human rights issues are that are just newspaper headlines to most of us. We don't really know. And we don't really know what difference we could make, and we don't really know anything beyond the very, very brief news reports about things going on around the world that people in Ithaca are involving themselves in trying to make a difference and change. So these shows are really something that the people that make them have really important reasons why they want their efforts in Tompkins County to be shared with everybody, and a ton of work goes into them. So I really want to say to everybody how much I appreciate the fact that you do all that work and you actually make that kind of information possible for everybody else to share and see and be inspired by. And I've had people come in and say, I saw this on TV, I want to make that. So all of you guys are doing great work, and you're really inspiring everyone in Tompkins County about issues. And whether people that make these shows always say that they're stopped by people in the streets that say they saw them. They're treated like a celebrity in the grocery store, I'm sure, and addressed by their first name, the same as any other national or international celebrity, because when you come into somebody's living room via television, people feel that you know them. And a lot of people say that then they can talk to them, and they can really relate to the people that share this information. Right now, I actually have, at the last minute, turn up a celebrity presenter. And I'd like to introduce him right now. Mike Fairbanks, would you come up? Admire Mike's haircut? Mike Fairbanks worked here until just a couple of months ago, and now he's working on other things, I guess. I'm not really sure what you're doing right now.
Lots of musical projects.
Lots of musical projects. And he has been working here at Time Warner, at PEGASYS. He was working for a little while with the new News 10 Now organization, and he's the leader of a band called Special Unit 2 that plays around Ithaca at different places. And you can probably catch him somewhere soon.
Sometime in April at the Haunt. I'm thinking.
All right, so now I am ready to see some scores. Paul, could you put the scores up for the judges? Okay, so what you're seeing here is first column is Judge 1, Judge 2, Judge 3. You do see one that had no audio that was judged with varying degrees of harshness by the different judges. And you also notice that if you look kind of carefully, that the judges were not all agreed as to the winner. In fact, I think that each of the three judges picked a different winner, which is very strange. But in any case, this was also a category in which we had a latecomer. And so let's take a look at the final scores, could we? There we go. As you will see, that our high score, average among the three judges, is Right Angle, which was a week late in getting its tape in, and therefore we have two winners in this category, which is also very, very close. Right Angle and Amnesty International. Mike, would you please get their trophies? And could you guys please come up? And before I give each of you guys a chance to speak, I'd like to read off the crew members that you listed on your show as having participated. For Right Angle, we've got David Gross. David, would you like to come up? Wait, oh, David's not here.
David's not here.
Mike's here, though, Mike Weir. After you get done taking your picture. And Lynn is not here, but Lynn Davidson is also on the crew, and Rod Porter is on the crew. So these certificates are for you guys. And this one's yours, Mike. I'll give the rest to you. And for Amnesty International, we've got Jim Blizzard, who actually came to my house and helped me fix somebody's computer that he doesn't even know this morning. So he does more good work in this community than anybody can count. And Martin Kelly, who was the host on the show, who worked on Amnesty International. And congratulations to you guys. I'd like to give each of you guys in turn a chance to say a couple words to our public, starting with you.
Thank you, Lauren, and I want to congratulate Amnesty International and all the other entrants. And I'm so glad that you showed the tape of the clips of all the shows, because I think it shows some of the inspiration that we had in creating Right Angle a few years ago. That notion that maybe, you know, we kind of represented a voice that wasn't being heard, and we wanted to do that. But over the years, while the heart of our show continues to be providing a voice for Republicans and conservatives, we are proud of the fact that, as you have mentioned, we've become something of a forum for the civil discourse of issues by people across the political spectrum. And I would mention some of our recent guests have included people like Pete Myers, Joe Wetmore, Tim Joseph. I want to mention a couple more. Paul Glover, and of course Eric Lerner was the perfect example of the show that was chosen. So I'd also like to recognize the founders of the show, Barbara Thusen, who was here with us tonight, Pete Scala, and there were others. You've already mentioned our crew. And finally, I want to thank you, Lauren. We did enter late, and the reason we did is really, you know, we wondered, you know, whether, you know, the French judges would give us a fair shot, you might say. And so we're particularly appreciative to the judges, and we're very hopeful that this award will encourage people, particularly from the other side of the spectrum, to come on our show and continue that civil discourse. So thank you very much to all.
You're welcome.
Well, it's a tough act to follow. I want to thank Lauren for sticking with cable access no matter what. And I want to thank Jim, who has been with me for the last 11 years, the length that I did my program. And I want to thank Martin. He was already moving out of the area when we did this program. So it was very nice that he did it, and I'm very pleased that we won. Thank you, judges.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, so moving on to the next category. The next category is called nonprofit organizations. It's the first time that I've used that category. Usually we have a category called talk show, and that's sort of a grab bag because many of the shows produced here are talk shows. However, many of the people that make programs either work for or represent or are making programs for not-for-profit organizations. And not-for-profit organizations are a really important group in terms of usage of public access because they have limited resources for PR, and a number of them have realized that this is a really good way to get their message out. And I'd really encourage any not-for-profit organizations that haven't used public access before or thought about what it can do for them to take a look at some of these entrants and consider how you might use public access to get your message across to your constituency and to this community. So we've got 3 entrants in this category. The first is called IPCA History, IPCA being the Ithaca Breast Cancer Alliance, by Basima Banu and Ward Kokoschka. And the second being Starlight Presents, produced by Gary Tracy, but really produced by Gary Tracy and Rick Livingston, as was the previous, produced by Rick Livingston and Gary Tracy. And the third is Tibetan New Year, produced by Renee Freed, but kind of with a collective, and I see we've got one member of the collective here, Road of Ice, who is part of a really, really interesting collective of ladies who spent several months last fall deciding that they were going to make some TV shows together. They made TV show. They have a second entry coming up later, but I never saw people having so much fun as this group of ladies did learning how to make several TV shows last fall. And I'm really, really proud of their efforts. And I'm glad that not only did they make TV shows that were serving some of the organizations that they tried to work with and contribute to, but they had a lot of fun doing it. So let's take a look at the 3 entries that we have under the not-profit organizations category in our PEGASYS Awards.
The beginnings were modest, a small room in the back of this house in downtown Ithaca. Andy and other founders voluntarily reached out to women whose lives, families, and friends were affected by breast cancer. The response was overwhelming.
So many women that had been living with a breast cancer diagnosis in quite a bit of isolation, who had just been waiting for something like this to happen, so that we got many, many more calls. We were kind of inundated, and I think it's fair to say we were shocked by the number of women we heard from, because we were thinking, oh, maybe 50 newly diagnosed women a year in Tompkins County, and some percentage of them might call us. But in fact, we were hearing from women that had been diagnosed 10 years before, 8 years before, and were just waiting and hungry to connect with other women.
Liz Hess was one of those women who called Ithaca and took destiny into her own hands.
I've lived in Ithaca since 1974, and actually in the city since 1978. And once I moved to Ithaca with my husband and my child, who was 2 at the time, I got involved in childcare issues. I seem to get involved in whatever seems to appeal to the age group of my children at first. And I worked to get something called the Indoor Play Center up on North Campus of Cornell University that served married students and their families who were living up around the North Campus. And we needed to lobby Cornell at the time to make them understand that married students were part of the university fabric, and that the married student housing did not give a lot of space for the children. The apartments were small. And we asked for a space in the union to use permanently for our indoor play center, which became a co-op for married students and their children.
I wish you all a very happy New Year. In our celebration today, we display offerings, say prayers, and speak auspicious words to one another. The New Year celebration that we enjoy every year is part of our Tibetan cultural tradition. But the celebration involves more than just following the same tradition every year, again and again. The New Year celebration symbolizes hope for a good future. As the Dalai Lama says, we should hope for the best, or better, or good. But he said, at the same time, we need to prepare for the difficulties in our lives in order to achieve the goal of happiness.
Well, as you can see, those are some pretty diverse programs, and they're just the tip of the iceberg in terms of how many nonprofit organizations are represented. And some of the ones that you've already seen tonight, such as Amnesty International, are represented in other categories, and you'll see some others that are represented in categories further down the list. But access is free. There's free training, free production facilities, free channel time, so any not-for-profits out there that think they'd like to make a go of it, we're here to help, and we'd like to do that. And really the only thing we can't help not-for-profits do is the ones that call us up on a Friday and say, we have this big event happening tomorrow, could you please send a television crew down to cover it? We can't do that. But anything where you want to get involved, or anything where we could maybe match you up with a volunteer that's interested in your subject, we'd really love to help you do it. This is do-it-yourself TV, so for some of the programs that you saw made there, you saw made even in this category, there was one in which it was made by people who were staff people of an organization, and the others were made by people who were absolutely volunteers and just wanted to contribute to that organization and help get the word out. So there's resources out there. There's plenty of people that have hearts and minds to help. So please call us up if you would like to make a show like one of these. So okay, let's find out who the winners were and put up the judging scores for this category, not-for-profit organizations. Paul? If you look carefully at that, you will see that as we go to the winners, this was one of the categories where we had a slam dunk. Go ahead, change it over to the winners. And the winner is IPCA History by Basima Banu and Ward Kukoska. Just before I let them speak, I'd just like to say a couple words about the two of them, because these guys are a couple, which what's interesting about that is that this is a case where opposites attract. When I first met Ward, he was working on a different show, a show called Point of View, which was different grad students at Cornell that were talking about political issues on a TV show. And basically, Ward had a problem with organization. And he had a problem, with goals and achieving things. And he's a great guy with great technical skills, but, figuring out how to tie his shoes is kind of a problem. On the other hand, we've got Basima here, and Basima's forte is organization. And Basima's forte, she may not know how the inside of a computer works, which Ward does, but she knows how to market a computer program and make it make $1 million, which I hope that she'll eventually do, or do those things. And they sort of fit together like peanut butter and chocolate, yeah. Or, making an entirely new snack. Anyway, these guys have been making shows for 2 years now, and each one is a really heartfelt expression of something that they want to contribute to this community. Basima's mother has breast cancer, and she's in India where services like IPCA are not available. And that's what she told me gave her the idea to do this show. And Ward was there to help her and make sure that the technical tools would all work for her so that she could realize her vision. So these guys are a real inspiration to all of us and what collaboration in public access and your personal life can do. Congratulations, guys.
Thank you. Well, as for thank yous, of course, we have to, first of all, thank IPCA, everybody who was on staff, a founder or a patron of the organization who gave us all the material that made the production possible. Beyond that, of course, PEGASYS, Lauren for always readily available resources, and Paul for guiding us through all of the intricacies of Premiere as we were learning the program. Thanks very, very much to Paul for 1,001 good tips. I think that's about all we have on the list. Anybody else you think we should? Oh yes, I should quickly mention her primary role. Most of the credit goes for. She's the one who conceived of the idea, wrote it up, did the interviews, and in the end edited everything. I was just the guy who kind of gave a few suggestions here and there and made most of the nuts and bolts work. But fine job. Thank you, Lauren. Oh, come on.
Congratulations. Moving on to the performing arts category, we have 4 entrants, and I'll read them off for you. For the duration, 5-2 night, which is usually for the duration is all about public affairs and political debate, but this show is about different musical performing groups. Beyond the Chords by, I didn't say For the Durations by Robin Palmer. Beyond the Chords by Rebecca Gephardt. After Hours by Mike Ocello. And Homemade Jams by Jordan Alexander. So let's take a look at these entries.
Every time I go away, I know I'll cause you pain. Ooh, I love the way you fight for me. It lets me know someone still cares. Hold on, 'cause I really do care. When I'm coming home to you, it's like rising of the sun until the day is done. I see love, I feel love. I like the way that you walk, I like the way that you talk, I like the way that you walk, I like the way that you talk, Susie Q. I like the way that you walk, I like the way that you talk, I like the way that you walk, I like the way that you talk, Susie Q. One, two, three, four! Late at night in your bed, I like what you said, I like what she said too. Well, I don't expect that much from you. I don't know where. I don't know where you got me. I don't know where. I don't know where you got me.
Well, so that's our performing arts category, and you'll see that it ranges from Jordan Alexander, who's been doing an amazing job over the past year, running around to Castaways and the Haunt and different venues all over town, shooting one band after another. He's got a weekly series called Homemade Jams that is on 3 times a week on Pegasus, and every week he's in a different bar with a different band. He's given unprecedented exposure to local bands. I'd have to say all of it is done completely uninterrupted, unadulterated, uncut, and it's, I don't even know how he finds the time to be able to pull that off. So that's really quite amazing. For the durations, what were they recalling it? 5 tonight. It was 5 different bands that he had on a show, or musical groups, not bands, on one night. And that was quite an accomplishment, getting them all in one place and getting the sound to be flattering and present them well. And After Hours was kind of sort of like a music video, but something much more ambitious, where there was original performance of a standard by accomplished musicians, and quite a lot of work going into making a music video out of it. And making that come alive here with Pegasus resources. That was really quite outstanding too. We have, sometimes in this very space that you're sitting in, 2 nights ago in fact, we had a full-size rock band in here with a kick drum that you could hear down the street pretty much. And that's something that we prize that we can do here, that people can do music in the studio. They can do everything from acoustic music to full-fledged rock and roll. And people can take our cameras out and go all over town to all the different wonderful music venues, with permission, of course, and shoot musical events and put it on TV to share with everybody. So let's see what the judges thought of these shows, if we could put the judges' scores up. What you'll see if you look at that carefully is that the judges really didn't agree with this one. They picked between them 3 different winners. So let's see what the average showed us. And the winner is After Hours by Mike Ocello. Congratulations, Mike.
Thank you.
And I'd like to, since I know that one of your crew members who's listed here, in fact, both of them are actually here, Lois Ocello. Lois, would you like to come up? Oh, no, but she will. And I know another one that will say no, but I will, is actually our director in the studio, Paul Smith, is one of the people who helped with the sound on this. Paul, would you mind putting somebody else in your place for a minute so you can come up and accept your award as well? Lois, thank you. Mike?
Thank you. Well, before I start thanking people, which there are a lot of people to thank, the whole purpose of the music video that we produced was to showcase Daryl Negley, who is a tremendous sax player and sings pretty good too. And I saw Daryl perform many times, and I was really impressed. So we put it together, and I want to mention this because if there are folks out there who have people that are really talented, come down here, learn, grab a camera. It's great. At any rate, I'm going to really treasure this. You know, I haven't ever won an award. This is really neat. But I do want to thank the executive producer, my wife Lois. She is the executive of everything. And Daryl Negley, Robin Negley, who else was in there? Heather Vandermark, Paul, who did he come out?
He came up and ran away.
He ran away, okay. At any rate, if you can make me look good on TV, Paul, you're really good. I want to thank everybody. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to category number 4, comedy variety. And this encompasses both shows that are trying to be humorous and shows that are just a grab bag of things that maybe if we'd had a bunch more categories, we could have divided them up. But this is kind of a small competition, and therefore this is sort of a mixed bag category. And we've got 4 entrants here. Well, the first is Fractured Fractals by Marilyn Rowland. The second is 30 Minutes by Chris Caciopoli. The third is Baby Bear by Ritva Cederström. And the fourth is My Sister's Garden by Wies van Luken. So if we could take a look at the clips from these 4 programs, please.
From Ithaca, New York, one UFO has been reported hovering over Town Hall. The mayor can't be reached for comment. And now a question for the French vet. A viewer in Minnesota wants to know, lately my dog has been nipping at my feet, and it hurts. How can I make him stop?
You can't. Next question.
That's it?
You are très insistement. The dog has rabies.
Rabies?
Mais oui. They'll both be finished soon, so it doesn't matter. Next question.
Well, I don't have another question right now.
Très bien. I can wait.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to a very special episode of 30 Minutes. I'm your host, Dave Ferguson. How you doing? Now, I said special, and what do I mean by that? I'll tell you. Our producer has decided that tonight, in addition to being hyperactive and very attractive, we are also going to be interactive. This means that we will be using touchscreen technology to put you, the viewer, in charge of your own viewing experience. At several points during the show, you will be given options that will decide the course of the episode and television history. For instance, right now, I invite you to make a decision right in your living room. Come up to the screen. Do you want me to, A, send it over to Will Lerner with a hilarious joke, or should we take a commercial break? Okay, welcome back.
The aim of all these visitations is the eventual takeover of the planet. And such was the great wisdom of the first visitor that he set in motion a process that continues almost without our participation. The planet is well on its way to being cleaned up to suit our purposes. Messy vegetation, outlandish animal forms of life are all but cleared away. The Earth will soon be an ideal paved-over landing station for our spacecraft.
So as you can see, quite a mixed group. A couple of these shows were really extraordinary in terms of the fact that they actually had someone write a script and produce something that they actually had to think out and write out like a story, write like a script and have actual actors, actual scenes, cutting something together. It's amazing, as I'm sure either of these people, Ritva Cederström, who made Baby Bear, or Marilyn Rowland, who made Fractured Fractals. It's amazing how much work doing a scripted comedy show actually is. I mean, these were like little, one was like a little mini movie and the other is like little skits, but nevertheless, they were all written and then acted. And when you watch this stuff on TV, it seems just really easy. But I think that Ritva worked for months on doing hers, and I know that Marilyn worked for months doing hers. And the others that the show 30 Minutes, which I know is a series up at Ithaca College and is done regularly, that also, despite the fact that it's not written like a movie, still, those jokes are written. It's not just off the top of your head. A lot of work goes into every minute of comedy. And I think people have said comedy is the hardest art form, even though it doesn't look like that to us here. And the final entry, My Sister's Garden, which maybe if we'd had more categories, we would have had a different category to go in. But it sort of represents something that you'll see on public access a lot, sort of a vignette of some small part of somebody's life or experience that was really beautiful and that they wanted to share. And it's really nice when we can see that, just some of the beauty, the natural beauty of this area when people make gardens and waterfalls and little glimpses into their lives that are like little gems, that it's really wonderful that we get a chance to see them. Okay, let's move on to the judges' scoring of this category. So as you can see, or as it's a little bit difficult to see the way we've got this laid out, there's, let's look at the average so we can see the winner. And the winner is 30 Minutes by Chris Cacciopoli. And And accepting on Chris's behalf is
Red Tannenbaum.
Red Tannenbaum.
Thank you. I am the former station manager for ICTV and have worked with Chris on a number of occasions, especially during this show. This show takes more work than I've ever seen a student-produced show take. They meet for weeks planning out jokes, working with writers, working with their actors, doing field segments, and it shows. In every production they do, they're consistently amazingly funny for college programming. So thank you to Pegasus for recognizing that. Really appreciate that, and congratulations to everybody on their show.
If we could just mention the person who was the host, I think, was Dave Ferguson. Is that right? Yes. And this one is for Chris Cacciopoli himself, because at Ithaca College, the people who win don't get to keep the awards. They put them in. The people who win just get to keep the certificates, and the actual winning trophies go in a trophy rack, trophy cabinet in the school to be preserved forever and ever and ever. So congratulations. Okay, we're moving on to category number 5, religion, philosophy. There are only 2 entrants in this category. I chronically have a hard time getting people who produce religious programming to enter them for PEGASYS Awards, and I am always happy when they're decide that they're going to do that. We have 2 entries here. The first is called Ultimate Utopia by Jenny Marcella, and the second is called Hour for Christ by Reverend Ronald Benson. Let's take a look at our 2 clips.
Welcome to the season finale of Ultimate Utopia. Today we have a great show for you. We have the Pomogeny Gospel Choir here to perform right here on the show.
And this is our final episode ever, so we decided to try and make it memorable for you. We're going to show you some highlights from other episodes, our blooper reel, and some new music videos. But first, here's the Pomogeny Gospel Choir from Cornell University performing Hallelujah, Salvation, and Glory.
Hallelujah, salvation and glory, honor and power unto the Lord our God. For the Lord our God is mighty, and the Lord our God is omnipotent. The Lord our God, He is wonderful. Hallelujah, salvation and glory, honor and power unto the Lord our God.
I greet you tonight, my dear friends, in the name that is above every name that has been named, not only in this world, but also in the world to come, according to the book of Ephesians, chapter number 1 and verse number 21. I greet you in the name of Jesus Christ. Remember, my dear friends, Jesus is the only true God, according to St. John, chapter number 17 and verse number 3. I greet you in the name of Jesus Christ, the Savior of all men, as was recorded in 1 Timothy chapter number 4 and verse number 10. Especially, my dear friends, He will save any man that will hear and will do what he has heard, according to Luke chapter number 8 and verse number 21. Remember, my brothers and sisters, Jesus Christ is our example, and we should follow in His footsteps, according to 1 Peter chapter number 2, verse number 21. Jesus Christ is, right now, Jesus Christ is, my dear friends, the glory of God revealed unto a lost and dying world. Jesus Christ is the invisible God that became flesh and paid redemption's price for mankind.
As you can see, religious programming, religious philosophy programming ranges from a sermon that people that can't make it to a church can share at home to things that are real entertainment-based and everything in between. There's at least 4 local churches that are videotaping their sermons and playing them weekly on local public access TV. plus tapes that are coming in from outside that represent things that local people are passionately committed to. Let's take a look at the judges' scoring for this category. And could we see the winning score? And you'll see the winner is Ultimate Utopia by Jenny Marcella.
This time I am Jenny Marcella.
Okay, and here we have Jenny Marcella. And would you like to read off some of the people that worked on the show? See if you can read my handwriting.
I will give it a shot. Producer was Jenny Marsala. Director was Rachel Kagan. Hosted by Michelle Tias and Mike Nagel. And that is our crew. They are, I was the station manager when this show was first proposed, and I remember looking at it going, I don't know how a college is going to be able to do this. Will they be able to pull off a religious programming seriously without offending too many people? And since that time, they have just done a tremendous job producing a show that is interesting to all groups. They just do, they work so hard and they do a great job. We are very sad that that was their last semester producing the show. The show no longer exists, but hopefully in the future it may come back. This is their second PEGASYS Awards, so thank you very much again for that.
You're welcome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes, as he said, this is they've taken this category for 2 years in a row. I'm sorry to hear that. Well, that's what happens at IC. People graduate and they move on to the real world, and while they're here, we get to have all of their programming efforts. ICTV is on Sundays through Thursdays from 6 to 11 p.m. So if you haven't caught ICTV before on Channel 16, you can see everything from Newswatch 16, which has a real 30 minutes of local news live at 8 p.m. twice a week, as well as reruns at 10 p.m. twice a week, and shows ranging from really, really lighthearted and entertainment-oriented to really spirited, issues-oriented debate programs, and very well-produced programs on music and the arts. So if you haven't seen ICTV before, turn on Channel 16, any Sunday through Thursday. All right, let's move on to the next category, which is news magazine format, which really refers to something that, news of course, but also things that have a lot of edited segments or bits in them and require a lot more pieces to put together than your average talk show. We have 3 entrants in this category: Newswatch 16 by John Cook and Michael Geller, Low Calls TV by Jason Van Staveren, and What's Cooking by Neil Schwartzbach. So let's take a look at these clips now.
Do you want to describe that? Exactly what is the village at Ithaca?
Well, the village at Ithaca really takes its name from the African proverb, it takes a village to raise a child. And what we have done was to really broaden that to include it takes a village to raise, affirm, educate, and inspire a child, because quite frankly what we're seeing locally is some pretty alarming rates of failure with certain students within the Ithaca City School District. And so...
That's good enough. Now we'll just let it cook.
Okay, great.
I'll get rid of this plate
all right.
for you.
How did I do? Was that good?
That was good.
Fantastic.
And all your friends saw that. There you have it, folks.
All right.
Cal did that sausage.
Cal cooks.
Okay.
Fantastic.
So, all right. So, back to what you were saying.
Yes.
So, alarming rates of failure within the Ithaca City School District.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, the Ithaca City School District is a very good school district. All of my children have gone through the district. 2 have graduated. My youngest son is in 11th grade, has a couple more years. I worked with a lot of students over the last 10 years.
Well, you see with those entries really different styles of doing a TV show. I'd just like to say a couple words about each of them before we put up the scores. Low Calls TV is a series. What's Cooking is also a series. And it takes so much work to make these shows that they haven't really done too many episodes yet. I think that Low Calls is only on number 5, is that right? And What's Cooking, that's only like number 20, I believe, and he's been doing it for like 3 years. So the other shows are like on number 150 or 200 by that time, but each one of these episodes of What's Cooking for Neil take a really long time to set up, and not only are they doing a recipe, but they're talking about something really important and interesting and unusual. They're getting behind the scenes. His idea was to get behind the scenes with a local person who's knowledgeable and interesting and we might not get a chance to speak to at length in an informal setting like a kitchen, while at the same time making some kind of recipe. And this particular episode was a turnabout on his usual episodes where he's had people as different as Alan Cohen and Barbara Mink come in and cook one of their home specialties and show Neil how to make it. In this episode, we had Cal Walker, who can't even boil an egg, and so what Neil's solution to this was that he was going to teach Cal a recipe at the same time as he was telling these really interesting stories about education. And actually, it had to be something that he really believed Cal would really cook for himself. And when I saw Cal recently, he came in here with Crossroads the Clown to read children's books for children for our Family Reading Partnership production. Cal told me that he had made that recipe himself, just as Neil hoped that he possibly would, and how much that he had learned from Neil about cooking from the experience of doing this show. So even yet another goal was attained. You taught Cal how to cook, which is another skill that he was really happy to have gained. Low Calls TV is another one that takes an amazing amount of work. It's not just, this one was skateboarding you saw in that episode, but it's also people doing trick bike riding and trick snowboarding. All kind of things that really look painful. Look like you really have to, you're just gonna get really hurt doing this. And every time I see Jason taking out one of our cameras to go do one of these things, I get like a little heart palpitation about what's gonna happen to them. But he's always brought them back safe and sound, and nothing bad has ever happened. And some of the shots that he gets are just amazing. And he spends hours and hours making each one of those edits look just right. So let's see what the judges did with this category. And did you get the right one? Yeah. And the final score? And the winners is Low Calls TV by Jason Van Staveren. Jason looks so different from his usual persona, coming in to grab this to go, and he does all these forts himself that I didn't even recognize him. I thought he was one of the people from IC.
I had to class it up a little bit for tonight.
But you look very nice. And there's a couple people that worked on your show that you mentioned, and maybe you could read their names?
Okay. I'd like to thank these folks. These are my crew members. Office, Max Leftwich. He occasionally runs the camera when I'm too busy with another camera. And also my special lady, Isabel. She's also on the crew. So.
Is she here?
No, they're both at work, so they couldn't make it. But thanks a lot for your efforts, guys. Also, I'd like to thank a couple other people. My family's here tonight. Thanks a lot for everything, guys. And also to all my devoted fans, you both mean the most to me. And Mr. Bush and Anheuser, without your contribution, the show would never go off the way it's supposed to. And I'd like to just say one final word, if I may. Read Low Calls magazine. Thank you.
I recognize him now. All right, we're on to the final category, documentary. Sometimes I have to drop the documentary category because we don't always have enough documentaries to have a competition. It was really exciting for me that we actually have 5 entrants in this category, and it's really quite a credit to, I always consider it a credit to PEGASYS when we can help people through that process. It's like, you know, giving birth to septuplets instead of just one baby, because so much work goes into a documentary, that so many little pieces to assemble together to really give a picture and insight into something that that is a story really worth telling. So the fact that we've got 5 of them, and all of them are really thoughtful documentaries, is a great credit to Ithaca and Tompkins County that we have people that are willing to do that. So let me read off the entrants. The Thin Small Voice by John Skripnik is basically a story of the Arab-Israeli conflict, and from a specific perspective on it. The second, Tales of the Ox, produced by Carl Madio and the ACS Alternative Community School Video Group, is a documentary about a glassblower. And Warlords of the Cornfield by Paul McLean is a documentary about, well, you'll see. It seems to be a sort of a Dungeons and Dragons-like activity, but sort of with a twist, so you'll see. The Joy of Reading, produced by Renee Fried, which, again, sort of a collaborative effort with a wonderful group of ladies who I'm really proud of, who you'll see from this show that they really became very accomplished during the making of this program. Since this was not their first effort, and they all learned from their first effort and make this one much, even better and more exciting to watch. And finally, Venture Forth by Mike and Lois Ocello. So we've got all 5 of them to take a look at little clips right now.
Day after day, people in the Middle East are suffering. How can we make sense of this suffering and end it if we don't understand why it's happening? Yet, at the crossroads of our perception, the point at which each of us must decide what is the truth, voices are muted and images are veiled. The young children we see here hold the future of Jews and Arabs in their minds, hearts, and hands. Like all futures, this one begins in the present, but is rooted in the past.
Come out with a glass stuck to it. I have to keep it spinning all the time or the glass will drip off. Block, first of all, to shape it. And before it gets too cold, I want to start getting some air into it. You can see it's just a solid mass now. And to start the air in it, I blow a little bit in it and I hold my thumb over the end of the blowpipe.
I chose the distance weapon because I don't like being hit with Bothy weapons at first, but now I'm into the sword fighting.
We don't like to have weapons that are really heavy, because the heavier the weapon, the better chance that you're actually going to have of really hurting somebody or hitting them harder than you intend to.
This is how you render someone unconscious if they don't have a defense aura up. Or if you might want to knock someone out, or someone who's sick, and you want to knock them out because they're being annoying. You take this this is a waylay tip. It's squishable, just like the head of an arrow. And then you hit them on the back of the shoulder.
Over, you know, it's nothing.
3 waylay. And down.
In an age of advanced technology with computers, TV, and video games, People still love to read, buy books, and borrow from the library. People read for different reasons.
Reading opened up tremendous worlds for me that I never would have seen without it.
Get a bigger vocabulary, and also I have a very big imagination, so reading helps me develop that.
Huh. I like to read because it's relaxing. It's very nice to read about other people and other things, and I don't know, it makes you very calm.
Just the world that opens up to me.
I like to read because it takes me to places where I have been and I haven't seen everything, or it takes me to places where I won't ever get to, and I like to know globally what the world's like.
We're going to venture from the very first observations of the stars right through a close-up view of the planets in our solar system and beyond. Right now, sit back and enjoy the October sky at night as it creates a constellation light show.
So, some really different stuff, huh? Let's take a look and see what the judges thought of these. Whoops, looks like I caught our director slightly unaware. Oh, there we go. And if you look carefully, you'll see that they didn't quite agree on this one. There's different scores among the judges. Let's look at the average to see who won. And the winner is Warlords of the Cornfield by Paul McLean.
I've been practicing this moment in front of my bathroom mirror for 20 years, so I guess, a documentary is only as good as the subject matter and the people in it, so I really have to thank Monroe Payne and Jeff Lauer, Barry Goodband, Ken Shea, and Colleen Brown, the woman you saw with the bow and arrow, for allowing me into their world, their kingdom of Trojan, as they call it, and trusting me with their reputations and just basically giving me a lot of access and trusting me. And anyway, if any of you are watching, I really am going to come up and play with you as soon as I have time. But I have another documentary I'm trying to edit right now, and anyway, I guess that's all I have to say, so thanks.
Congratulations. The last thing that we're going to do is announce the best 2 public access shows and the best 2 educational access shows. Before we do that, I'd like to have our director come out front and take a bow. And while he's arranging someone to take his place and walking forwards, I'd just like to say a couple words about his contribution to this event. Paul Smith has worked at PEGASYS for over 10 years, and he is now working as our videographer doing city meeting coverage, which is something he was doing as a PEGASYS staff person for many years, and you'll still see him doing that. But for the past 10 years, he has been working on this production as a PEGASYS staff person. And this year, he's done all the work that goes into organizing all of the food that you have enjoyed out there, as well as some of you brought stuff, but Paul did a lot of organizing to make that happen. He did all of the editing of the clip reel. He's been directing and working with our video class. Paul, you could come up here and stand here while I'm saying all this stuff.
Thank you.
And he's been doing this all as a volunteer, and I didn't ask him to do it. He volunteered, and he said the PEGASYS Awards is really, really important, and can I help, and what can I do, and I really want to do this. And I couldn't have done this without you, so I really appreciate you doing it.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you. Anything you want to say to the nice people?
You said everything that I would have said. But it's been a pleasure, and I have a good time doing this every year, and this has been great.
Thank you. Okay, so as we're very, very near the end of our show, I'm not going to dawdle around with our Best to Public Access and Best to Educational Access. The highest two scoring public access shows, and I'd like you to come up here if you could, because we've got another award for this category, are IPCA History by Basima Banu and Ward Kukuska, and Warlords of the Cornfield by Paul McLean. And our highest two scoring educational access programs are 30 Minutes by Chris Cacciopoli and Ultimate Utopia by Jenny Marcella. If you guys could come up here and accept on their behalf. And as I mentioned at the beginning, these 4 shows are going to represent Ithaca in a national public access competition called the Hometown Video Festival that will be held in Florida this summer. So congratulations to all you guys. Give them one more round of applause. And now we are at our end of the show / group photo time. So I would like all the award winners in all categories to come up so we can sort of have a group photo here for our ending credits. If all of the winners could come up front for me now, bring your awards with you so you can like hold them up. Our beautiful PEGASYS Awards. And while they're all coming up, I'd like to thank all of you for joining us. Thank you to our this month's video class, our studio production class, Catherine Yen, and Daniel Leifer and Will Betro, who have helped with the crew, and Kevin Miles, who's been here since 4 o'clock this afternoon doing this set, and Paul and Mike Brutvan is, for some reason, taking a lot of pictures. I hope we can use them for something. Maybe we'll get them on our website, which will also be great. Paul, obviously, I already mentioned. Thank you for all the people, including you guys. I think you brought some food, right? You brought rice cookers, and Mimi Melagrito and Robin Palmer actually gave us crock pots to keep some of our dish to pass things warm. Thank you for everybody that contributed, and thank you for everybody that came. Thanks very much for joining us this year as we celebrate public access and all that it gives back to Ithaca. Thank you for joining us. Good night.